Hey, what's going on, guys? Joel's back with another reasoning session, and today we're getting a bit deep because we're getting into the esoteric natures of the key of David.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
Now, the key of David is a subject that a lot of people don't know about, but it's the subject of ancient scriptures where it's talked about in the Apocalypse or the book of Revelation. And a lot of people avoid the book of Revelation, just because of the metaphors and symbolism. They get scared because they think it's literal history. But in the opening statement to the angel of the church of Philadelphia, Philadelphia actually translates as brotherly love, by the way. But it says, he that is holy, he that is true, he that has the key of David, he that opens and no man shuts, and shuts and no man opens. Now this, of course, is talking in the book of Revelation about Jesus, but we must realize that Jesus is the embodiment of the Logos. And what is Logos? It's the information that manifests all things in the quantum source field, through which all things are made manifest. And that's what the book of Revelation really is getting into. A lot of people, they take the literal story, and while that's all well and good, we can't limit this fractal holographic nature of reality to simply a historical being. I'm not saying that that's not one aspect of it, but if we just take that one aspect of it, we're limiting it so much. This is literally living information, as they say, the living word or the living logos. So to actually understand this and start to break this code, we have to understand just what the key of David really is. And this is mentioned in the oracle of Isha, actually in chapter 22, verse 22. Talk about angel numbers. But here we have a description almost exactly the same as in Revelation. And it says, and the key of the house of David will lay upon his shoulder, so that he shall open and none shall shut, and he shall shut and none shall open. It's talking about the same thing, but this is the living logos that actually brings all things to light. And in that statement, it actually says that he carries this key on his shoulder. Well, in the literal story, what was carried on the shoulder of Jesus? A cross. And we read that when the cross was placed in the hole and he was actually crucified, what happened? Matthew 27, verse 51 says, behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from top to bottom. That's talking about the division that man has had since the beginning of entering this physical dimension from absolute source. That division with the divine nature. And that was literally split in half from top to bottom. And what happens? The rocks were rent. There was some very interesting stuff that was brought to light archaeologically by a man named Ron Wyatt. In the 80s, he literally was tapped into Source, and Source guided him. He literally found chariot wheels under the Red Sea. He found huge sulfur deposits where Sodom and Gomorrah were supposed to be. He found the top of Mount Sinai was literally burnt black. He came across bones of ancient giants, literally the Ark of Noah. He came across some crazy stuff that the institution has literally done everything they could to hide and cover up, because they have an agenda too. And if this history comes alive to us, we're going to realize that Source has been trying to guide humanity all along. And he actually did excavations under Golgotha, the place where Jesus is said to be crucified. He found a hole where they actually placed the cross, and from there he actually found a fault line that went all the way down and literally split the rocks from the top of the hill all the way to the bottom. And he actually found one of the caves where the articles of the first temple were hidden before the siege of Babylon, when they literally ransacked the first temple, decimated it, destroyed it, wiped out that kingdom, literally slew the king's descendants, the heirs to the throne, in front of his face, put out his eyes, and made him grind flour in the public square of Babylon. That all went down around 600 BC. But what was hidden under that hill was actually the artifacts from the first temple. And funnily enough, when that literal cross was placed in that hole, it acted like a key and unlocked one layer of this physical reality, split the rocks in twain. And I mean, you can check out his research and what he found out when he did that archaeological dig. Make up your own mind about that. But my goodness, this fractal reality is manifested not just literally, not just metaphorically, not just astrologically, and not just esoterically, but it manifests through those layers back down. So you have 4 layers going up, and then you make your way back down through those last 3 layers for a 7-fold understanding. And when you come back down to that literal version, after you've gone through the esoteric and metaphorical interpretations, it literally comes alive to an extent that cannot be paralleled. This is what the Key of David is alluding to. And when we really break down the esoteric knowledge and the meanings of these sacred texts, we are going to be able to crack this Key of David. We're going to really understand the book of Revelation. We're going to really understand the living Logos, and it's going to be made manifest within our own lives. We're literally going to start acting as if this Logos is embodied in this physical earth plane. And that's the thing. And that's literally a promise from the literal Jesus. He said, greater works than these shall you do. Well, we've seen what's been recorded about what he supposedly did. How is it that we can do greater works? But that's when the Logos literally is embodied in us, and it literally just flows out. We can't hold it back. I mean, this show is a prime example. Like, I really can't even keep up with the messages that are coming through. I'm literally recording like 1 or even 2 of these every day, and I'm trying to space them out when I upload them. Of course, editing them takes time, but I'm also trying to figure out, which of these messages are most pertinent to the issue at hand, because I have so many of them just sitting on my hard drive. It's like sources just flowing, that fire is ignited, and I can't hold it back. I don't want to hold it back. This is divine life that's coming through. So we got to step up and really embody this energy and let source flow through us. And once it does, we will literally embody that state of being. So do your part and step up, because Source is really calling out to all of us to really embody what we're here to do and act as B'nai Elohim, divine vessels for Source to act in this world. We're manifesting a new world. We're actually bringing the heavenly energy into this physical earth plane. And that can only happen when we step up, embody our talents, and really manifest this world as individuals. That's the only way this can really begin to happen. So do your part and manifest utopia. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next reasoning session. Joel signing out once again. Agape, Salaam, Namaste. Shalom.